All right, welcome back to another episode of the Noob Sports Show. I'm your host, Ryan Newpel, here with you each and every time. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time out of your day to join us and listen and learn about this exploding industry that is, iGaming. Today we have another very special guest with us. Marek Suchar is with us from oddin.gg. Marek, thanks for joining.
Many thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate it. I know we've had a few discussions in the past, and I really love what you guys are doing in the esports space. So excited to get into this show and hear a little bit about you and what Oddin is doing. So why don't you start and give us a little bit of background about yourself and how you kind of got into the esports industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Many thanks for the intro. I actually started in financial industry. I spent almost a decade at Citibank, but then I moved into the esports in a sense that I was a huge fan of esports. I followed Dota 2. Before that, I played StarCraft, a lot of games at that point in time. And I was looking at the entrance, how to actually enter esports, and there are multiple verticals, of course, but not that many are already being profitable, or at least quite ahead of the curve of being profitable. Because when you look at the tournaments, when you look at the organizers, when you look at teams, this is still sort of the business that needs to take a hold and is rather investments. But the analytics, the betting part was already something that was already generating a lot of cash. So we were thinking about potentially how to get into this angle, and we have started a company that pretty much focuses on esports analytics. And one of the verticals that seems to be monetized the soonest was definitely providing this kind of stuff to betting operators. And here we are, a couple of years later, and a couple of times dedicated to both the infrastructure that we have built and the partnerships we have built. And we are still sort of not at the very beginning, but we are still growing. And there is a quite nice way ahead of us in terms of the things that can be done in esports and specifically in esports betting.
Yeah, I mean, well, congrats first of all on the success and getting to where you are today. And I can only imagine. I mean, I even think the esports industry is at its infancy. It's just getting started. Really, I think there's a long way to go for that entire industry. And I can only imagine that analytics, betting analytics specifically around esports, are just starting. So tell me a little bit about who. You say you worked with a lot of the betting operators. Are you working in different countries? What kind of countries are you targeting? What type of operators are you working with?
Mm-hmm. We focused on the infrastructure in the last couple of, I would say, 18 months. So we've been actively selling for 6 to 12 months, but we are already integrated, for example, with Scientific Games, through which we are targeting the global tier one operators, either based in US, based in UK. So we are discussing with them the different perspective that we are bringing to the market and the different vision that we have. We are also integrated with some European bookmakers already. We are looking, and we have actually recently signed. It is still like confidential, but we are signing one of the largest players in CIS region. So this will be announced soon. And they've been looking at our platform and at our odds for roughly last 6 months, and they've seen the value. So it was just a matter of time till we start the cooperation. It's getting started. And there are more things ahead of us because there's another huge partner, well-known partner from the US that we are speaking to that mentioned, well, we are already selected as the preferred esports solution. We are just getting down the road in terms of getting on the roadmap and signing the commercials and all these sort of things. So there's a lot of traction. There's a huge appetite for the right solutions from Asia as well. So I would say right now there is a lot of demand for the right kind of solutions because so far, and we can get into the details, the esports betting as a offerings is extremely weak with many of the bookmakers, with many of the providers, and we are stepping in with a different proposition, which is much more engaging and brings much more volume and eventually profitability to the bookmakers.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on a little bit because maybe for some people that are listening, maybe that aren't overly familiar with esports or, esports betting, when we think of regular sports betting, we think of, oh, I can bet on the spread, I can bet on the money line, I can bet on the over under, I can bet some live stuff and things like that. Now, with esports, there's a whole nother set of I guess I'll call it data points that you can bet on. Explain to me a little bit about, I mean, there's match winner and, map winner and duration over under and all sorts of different things that go into betting on esports. Can you explain a little bit about those offerings? And, is it live betting? Is there like pre-match betting like we would think of in the real sports world?
Yeah, absolutely. The dynamics is definitely in favor of live betting. 80 to 90% of the volume goes to live betting. At the same time, live betting is actually extremely challenging when it comes to esports because you need to have the right expertise, the right access to data, the right set of experienced traders, and all these sort of things. And it needs to be combined. Otherwise, we will be lacking one of the key competencies within it. With that being said, what we see on the market is that if you are a bettor and if you want to bet on esports, many of the bookmakers that you will go to and they will have a standardized solution, you can bet roughly half of the game. So as the game is being played, you can bet the first, let's say 10, 20 minutes. And then as the game is being unfolded, as there are that storylines that the team is either coming back or is actually going to win, but then there is a comeback, you suddenly couldn't bet. The reason for that is that many of the operators do not have the access to official data. They do not have the expertise how to actually provide the lines in the late games, such as complicated games as Dota 2 or League of Legends. So many times what you see on the market is that bettor comes, he watches the games, and suddenly when something is finally getting different and he wants to put some money on the line for his opinion, what is about to happen, he can't bet at all. And this is a huge limitation. And yes, we are speaking about a map winner, we might be speaking about match duration, we might be speaking about kills, over, under. But this is a huge pitfall of the industry that it is currently facing. Because if you think about esports fans, they are mostly millennials. And they are used to the content on demand. They are the masters of their own time because if they want to listen to music, they will go to Spotify. If they want to watch the movie, they go to Netflix. They don't wait. This is what I want, this is what I get. Then you go to Twitch, you can pretty much watch any esports title you want, any tournament you want for free. But then if you want to bet in the late game, you can't because the lines are not there, the lines are not open. We are changing that the way that we are able to quote the lines almost all the time. And also we are bringing, and sorry, right now I'm coming back to your original question.
You're good.
We are providing the live odds not only for the match winner or series winner, we are providing the odds also for example, in Counter-Strike, which is extremely fast-paced. You can bet on the next round winner. You can bet on exact score. You can bet on second half. So the first half, somebody would actually won, but the second half can be different. Eventually, that team can lose, but they would won the second half. So there are various things that you can bet on in titles like Dota 2 or League. There are specific markets when you have a specific either buildings or creatures that you can bet whether it would be who would take a certain kill at a certain time, who would kill a certain building first, and these sort of things. And as you mentioned, all of these are just getting started because there is more to come for esports for sure. One of that being that esports is extremely specific to standard sports, the way that the data are essential part of esports. All of that is playing in virtual world on servers, so you can get pretty much any data from the server. Movement, itemization, aiming direction, number of shots, pretty much anything. Well, if you think about the esports, about sports, I would use the comparison of IoTs. So the players would have a certain tracking devices on their bodies. There will be a certain heartbeat. There will be direction and all these sort of things. We don't have them yet. That being said, we can have that for the future. But esports is already there when it comes to data richness and when it comes to what is actually available for the game and within the game.
Man, thank you for that answer. That was a very in-depth answer, and I think it shed some light into your world and how much really goes into all these different data points and things like that. There's just so much that you can capture in this space, and so I can imagine that just being challenges after challenges that come up. So that leads me into my next question. Something I always ask business people like yourself that are in business. What's one of the challenges maybe that you have, maybe more on a business side of things, potentially somebody listening here, we have a lot of business people, a lot of people in the iGaming space, maybe they maybe potentially get help with. Is there business challenges that either you're running into or maybe have ran into in the past? I'm curious to hear your answer on that.
Yeah, that's extremely good question. When it comes to standard bookmakers, for them, the key question around esports is that as the pandemic hit in March, April this year, many of them were looking at the esports as one of the very few sports that actually was able to provide the content. Then there was a rise of sporting simulators, there was a rise of other form of esports-like content. But at the same time, what I'm seeing with many of the parties we are speaking to, if they are esports oriented already, they understand the value of esports for their brand, for the generations that they are able to target, for the youngest generations they are able to target, and they understand the value also from the volume and profit perspective. But at the same time, if you want to move into the esports and you are considering it as an investment, and you are looking at your sports book the way that, okay, where's my esports now? This is not the right approach, because if you are looking at this way, you are actually missing out, because millennials wouldn't come without you either having a reasonable marketing spending or activity. It doesn't need to be about spending. It can be about doing the stuff right and a reasonable solution. If you are just targeting general audience, the millennials can come to the esports-centric operators, to the standard bookmakers like Betway, who is doing marketing great and absolutely correct. They cooperate with the organizers, they cooperate with the teams. So, and they would for sure come there because they see that those brands are already in their world. They do communicate to them, they spend the time with them. On the contrary, if you are a standard bookmaker and if you are speaking about the esports the way that it's already small in my business portfolio, the volume is small, why should I invest? This is not the way, because this is chicken egg problem. If you don't invest, they would not come, you would be missing out. So I guess this is one of the things that we are trying to educate the market about. You should either want to do it or don't do it. But if you don't do it, be prepared for the stage where eventually you will be run over by the others that would do that investment. And pandemic was actually a lost opportunities for a couple of them, because they were rather focusing on sporting simulators and targeting the already existing audience of standard sports, instead of moving into the esports as well and targeting the younger generation that would definitely go after Dota, League, CSGO, and this way actually achieving two things: bringing the new blood to the sports book, and also potential opportunities of cross-sell of these punters, the sportsbook proposition as such.
Very nice answer. Very good. One other question. So, what does Oddin have to look forward to? Like, I know you guys are just down your path. You're trying to get into operators and things of that, but maybe what's something in the future? Is there something you guys are working on that you're developing, or is it just business as usual, like we've been talking about? I mean, is there anything specific you can talk about to your future?
Absolutely. We are already ahead of market when it comes to the what we are capable of, because we have built our own infrastructure. It is esports centric. It is built on greenfield. So we are our masters when it comes to data collection, modeling, odds calculation, to the entire experience, to the bettors in terms of odds. Nevertheless, we understand that one thing is the right proposition in terms of odds. As I mentioned, how much across the course of the game you can bet, how many live markets you can actually bet on. But at the same time, if you probably push this to old looking bookmakers that are sort of more perceived as the old guys, even they would have the right solution, they might not be that engaging for the millennials. So one more thing we are already working on is sort of iframe solution, where we will be able to pack the entire proposition together. So having the front end, having the streaming there, having the statistics, having the live odds, controlling the entire ecosystem, and of course improving upon that. We are also looking at various ways of gamification in terms of tokenization. So, but not in crypto. There are too many things in that direction already. We are rather looking at it from the terms of, if you come to the platform as such, you want to watch, you want to engage, you want to learn the stuff in terms of statistics, and eventually you will bet. Right now, the perception is, I'm going to William Hill, Skybet, Betway, you name it, I'm going to bet. We are thinking about it rather the way that this will be a content where you can come and go. You do not necessarily need to be even registered. You would be able to enjoy the platform because of the richness of the data, richness of the content that is there. And eventually, if you want to, you can bet. With that being said, one of the other things that we are targeting is that, as I mentioned, in March, April, there was a lack of the content. And we are launching 24/7 Counter-Strike betting stream, which would be run pretty much all the time. We have the right partner for it, who provides us the data. And this way, we can provide the content all the time, which means that instead of going to Twitch and watching the streams, you can go to the bookmaker and you can watch the live action there, and eventually you can bet. The advantage of that is that the perception changes. The bookmakers would become the main point for the content, not necessarily the other medias. And this way you are targeting them to come, to bet, to actually enjoy what you are having. And in that sense as well, why CSGO? Counter-Strike is one of the easiest to be understood esports titles for the general public. So when there was no content and people were betting on table tennis, similarly, they can bet and understand CSGO because it's about 5 people shooting the other 5 people. Of course, it has the depthness that the esports fans understood, but at the same time, the general public can come, watch, and eventually learn on that depth of the title, but they can enjoy watching these kind of shows.
Amazing. Marek Suchar of Oddin. Man, Mark, this has been amazing. I think you've nailed it. I mean, you've talked about everything I can think of in this space. I don't want to keep you. I know you have tons of things going on. You're a busy man. Give us one last thing. Any last words for the audience? Anything that you maybe didn't touch on that you want to say before we get out of here?
Very good question. A lot of things just crossed my mind. I would say, similar to esports, there are a lot of people that do understand what they are speaking about. There are a lot of things, people that just want to jump on the wave of esports, and particularly esports betting. So it would be good to actually, if you want to get into the esports, it would be good to understand whether the people you are speaking to actually know their stuff, whether they are actually being truthful to you. And by this way, select the right partners, because in the long run, you can actually be sorry about your decisions that were probably done too harsh in such a short time frame because of all that is going out, COVID and other things. So choose your partners wisely. I guess this would be the key part of the esports betting partnership selection.
I mean, that's great advice across the board in anything you do, right? Choose
Absolutely.
who you work with, because it can be a good or a bad experience depending on who you choose to work with. So definitely spend the time. So if people wanted to work with you or just had follow-up questions for you guys, who would they contact? How would they get a hold of you? What's the channel of communication there for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. You can visit OddinGG with double D and send the email to Marek at OddinGG, or potentially we can catch up on LinkedIn. Again, I'm there as well. Marek Suchar, MarekSuchar. Happy to connect with pretty much anybody meaningful within the ecosystem.
Awesome, Mark. Well, I truly appreciate you being here. Give me a little bit of your time. And everybody listening, thank you. This is Marek Suchar of Oddin. Definitely, I think you guys can tell from listening to this interview, one of the leaders in the esports analytics space, really knows his stuff. And I can vouch is very good to work with as well. So I've enjoyed getting to know you over the years here, Marek. So looking forward to much more interaction as we move forward in this esports industry.
Pleasure to be here, and many thanks for having me. And yeah, definitely, it will be great to catch up soon.
Awesome. Amazing. Thanks for being here again. Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay safe. Until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Many thanks, Ryan. Bye.